The intervention program is referred to Black youth. It's a R.E.P enrichment program, which tonight, hope approved is necessary. I am repping the acronym for the goal of deterring Black youth crime and violence in Chicago. The most critical component to this program is challenging through R.E.P both public stereotypes of Black youth, as well as Black youth's own misperceptions about themselves and how they should live. Top image. Evidence shows that the murder rate today is in the 400s and 80s, 800. So the murder rate is actually cut in half. Yet, despite the evidence, Black youth remain consistent. Black youth arrests remain consistent, and the perceived fear of crime is at an all-time high. This bottom image. The term Chirac describes Chicago as a war zone, likened to that of Iraq. How many of you think crime and violence in Chicago is bad enough to where you need a gun when you leave the house? Just to think about it. And what would you say to those who would say, well, that's because you're not Black? For those of you who are Black, well, that's because you're not from the hood. And how does being young, being Black, and being from the hood change one's perception? Many of you may be surprised that Spike Lee did not come up with the term Chirac. It actually comes from local drill artists or rappers, like the ones you're about to see in the video. I want to show you that misperceptions of Black youth are not just structurally, but more importantly, culturally reinforced. For the sake of time, I won't show the video, but this is a caption. The question is, what advice would you give someone moving or just visiting Chicago? Now, before we get to youth response, I just want y'all to think about that same question. And now here's the youth response. Get you a gun. This is one of the many perceptions that's pervasive throughout rap music. So this obsession with the gun is spreading. My program asks, where does this obsession come from, and how does it further contribute to the problem of crime and violence, and how might it be countered? Here is talk about the power of perception and a perception input model developed from cognitive and behavioral sciences to help explain where the perceptions come from. Our program suggests that through R.E.P, we will address all these changes, but it's more centered on challenging here the views and values to modify the way the youth think today. Our program is not completely reliant on the structural changes occurring, but it's centered on cultural change and youth, empowering youth to make personal change. Here, a few main misperceptions we would like to challenge to deter Black youth crime and violence. Black people are responsible for all the crime and violence in Chicago. Black youth, all their criminal violent lifestyles. Crime and violence is at an all-time high. You need a gun just to walk the streets of Chicago. The gun makes you less vulnerable. You're a G if you have a gun. You're a coward if you don't use it. And gun violence is the only way to resolve conflict. And most importantly, that kill that nigga attitude. Emphasizes that it's a misperception that the crime is pervasive, but it's actually concentrated. As well as the victim is more prevalent in the poor Black community. Why we need the program is so we can get in tune with Black youth culture, understand the views and values, what they hold to be true, to engage and challenge them, the negative affirmations about Black life and how they should live, modify the way they think, behave, and live, deter antisocial behavior, and to create hope, empowerment, and longevity. In conclusion, answering the question of why we care, our program is very simple because these youth are our future.
Thank you, Gary. Such a wonderful idea, and coming from the expressive arts is related to youth. I'm really excited about this idea and bringing something that's culturally relevant. I'm curious though, why R.E.P in particular? If these cognitive behavioral programs are in place already, why and how would R.E.P be a way of meeting those 4 goals that you talked about? What's the mechanism? What would R.E.P bring to the table? How would it be used as a modality to help youth to think differently?
Okay, so our basis for the programming using R.E.P is just understanding that most of the youth use and values about life, about the environment, and how to deal with situations actually come from R.E.P music. So it's difficult to really understand and be able to relate without the use of R.E.P. And so that's why we emphasize the use of R.E.P. and the validity of R.E.P as a method of engaging with.
So as a method of engaging, so it's the idea that that one would challenge the misperceptions that are perpetuated in R.E.P, that one would, what would happen?
Okay, so, well, through R.E.P, it's difficult to, R.E.P is like a way to get inside of the youth. It's a culture that either you in tune with the culture, or you just get shunned out you don't know what's going on. So that's why it's important to be in tune with R.E.P, because we associate R.E.P with specifically being Black youth culture.
This is very refreshing. I really enjoyed your presentation. It's very different than the usual hyper-segregation, institutional racism approaches that look at kind of the larger culture. And this feels to me to be much more like a positive cultural option. I'm kind of wondering, what are you shooting for in terms of, I'm thinking, I don't know if you know the work of Antonio Gramsci, the cultural sort of counter-hegemony thesis. You got the larger culture that praises violence, and we need another culture that looks at it differently, maybe. So it sounds like that you're using some of what we call critical theory in this countercultural look at things. And I'm just kind of wondering, if we look at culture as the vehicle and the solution to a problem that is so overwhelming, that has the potential for giving voice and identity to the people that are looking at their own lives, what might happen from this? What might be the vision of this? Will that just come from the folk that are part of your project, or do you have some hope in terms of where this might go, where it might lead?
Okay, so my vision, or what I hope, is that the youth will be able to see, by using R.E.P, to talk about structural inequality and talk about issues that they may not fully understand, but through the use of R.E.P, could further help them understand. So talking about social inequality, talking about gentrification, talking about all these various issues. But what would happen is, as opposed to trying to prevent gentrification, as opposed to trying to curb police brutality, as opposed to trying to get the courts or change the public view and perception, have them change their own self-perception and empower themselves and change the way they think and behave. And putting their future in their own hands.
One other question. I think that there's a lot of rap music out there that really is not trying to glorify violence, that's trying to carve another way of looking at situations. And it sounds like that's the stream you're trying to tap into.
Yeah. So, positive music that you may not be exposed to because, unfortunately, the culture is oversaturated with, a bunch of negative music. And just to see how you will relate to that type of music, even still, I caution that if it's too extreme, like too far away from the culture, but it's not addressing that everyday reality, it still may not reach.